Hey everyone, this is Adam at KreatureKid, and welcome to the creation of Dr. Zalk, our newest puppet for Sour Boys Candy. So this is a really cool puppet. We were approached by Sour Boys Candy.
Welcome to the Sour Boys Lab. Today we're going to be making the most sour Boys sour candy ever.
To create their mascot, Dr. Zalk, a magical possum. When they approached us, they had a few illustrations of Dr. Zalk so far. We got to kind of creatively play around with design and also just interpret the character to be hyper-realistic, right? Like kind of a combination of staying true to the artwork as well as introducing that real possum feel with real hair and real looking eyes and make it feel like he's a real wizard possum, essentially. So when starting out this puppet, we start how we do most of our things with a digital design. This digital sculpture was created by Andrew Martin. He's an incredible digital artist, and he really helped hone in the feel of a hyper-realistic Dr. Zalk. And once we get the final figure back, essentially this is just the possum full body. And then we have to dissect him and figure out, okay, with this as a hand puppet, what's what material? What's silicone? What's going to be foam? You know, what's going to be covered in fur that we don't really necessarily need to make or we should fabricate? So we knew already we were diving into an animatronic head, at least for the blinks and the eyeballs. So that could be operated with a remote off screen. And then we're hand operating the head. Now for this, traditionally like a Muppet, you would go, well, it's foam fabricated, you put the fur over it. With a sculpture like this, where there is detail, like the nose and the teeth and the inner mouth, we chose not to go the foam route just because since we're making a puppet that's meant for advertisement, we don't want it to fall apart over time. We need it to be really structurally good, as well as just capturing the details of the nose and stuff. So we opted to do a thin silicone skin using EcoFlex 20. That way we could punch our hair. You know, if this was foam, we'd be like trying to lay our hair, and it just wouldn't have the right feel that a silicone head would have. Now at the same time, our mechanic is digitally designing the eye mechanism inside of the shell. That's going to be the top part of this puppet that's holding the shape of the head, but also what will have the straps to strap your hand to hand puppeteer this mouth. Once we have our silicone skin pulled out of the mold of Dr. Zalk's head, we go straight into seaming and painting. Now, luckily with this one, a lot of the seam work was hidden with the fur, so we only had to focus on patching and really properly seaming the inner mouth, the nose, areas where they're going to be really visible or the hair is going to be sparse where you could see that seam line. And then we could just jump right into painting. Once the painting's done, then we can start going into hair. For his head, it's a combination of a fur fabric that's like fur on stretchy pantyhose material. So we were able to glue sections of the head and the body with this fabric and then go in and hair punch all the face and all along the trim, basically disguising the laid glued down fur with punched hair. Now, a fun trick for the whiskers, these are actually feathers, and you peel the soft feather parts until you just have the stem, and it's a very flexible, very durable option for a whisker. We just use these feathers peeled down to create his little cluster of whiskers, and I think the natural bends and kind of the flaws of these things really add a lot of character. The face, I think, turned out really beautiful. The body was a combination of 3D printed components, latex and foam components. The torso, we ended up just printing a block mold, casting it out of latex and polyfoam. So that's lightweight, it's durable. And then his legs are just straight up polyfoam with the fur fabric draped over it and glued to it. For Dr. Zalk's hands, we kind of were on the fence. We were thinking maybe just cable hands, but then we really wanted him to have the ability to pick things up and mix potions and be a little weird magician puppet. He seems like a character that would really want to be expressive with his hands. So we opted to go for the Swedish chef style way of puppetry, which is a performer's wearing gloves, you know, doing this on the table, and then the other performer is performing the head from behind. So what we did is we had digital scans of just small sized hands like mine, and then Andrew Martin sculpted beautiful, kind of creepy looking possum hands, you know, weird giant palm pads and little sharp claws. And then we can develop the block 3D printed mold with our hand core, and then with a 4-way stretch fabric glove over this core, we can just cast straight up silicone gloves and then attach the fur. And then we have little fur hands, little looking werewolf possum fur hands. We're laying most of the hair on the chest, but because of the clothing, most of that isn't going to be visible. His wizard hat and his cloak was beautifully designed and created by Kitty Krell. She's an amazing costume designer. She built this thing from scratch, did custom embroidery to match the artwork, and really give that medieval feel with even proper like patterning of the cloak, so that it has that a period vibe to it.
I intentionally did this type of arm seam back here is something that was done in like period stuff.
Oh, cool.
So it makes it look old-fashioned even if you don't necessarily register why.
Yeah. Huh. Now the mechanic worked really closely with Fourth Seal Studios on designing Dr. Zalk's eyes. What was interesting about these is our middle point of the half sphere of the eyes is at an angle because his eyes are so wide apart. So they're actually pitched at an angle like this, which means if the center normally of the pupil on their half spheres was pointing straight, he'd be wall-eyed. Our mechanic had to communicate with Fourth Seal Studios on what degree the pupil actually needs to lie in order for the eye to be at a proper angle for the mechanic, but then the pupils to be established so that he's looking straight. That was a really interesting little trick that we haven't done before. Thankfully, working with Fourth Seal Studios is incredible, and they nailed it. So we get a perfect, straight-looking eyeball. Things like his nails and his teeth were all just 3D printed resin on the Illigu Jupiter SE printer. It's a really large format resin printer that's crazy affordable, and the resin's really cheap. And we could do large-scale printing, so we were able to print all his fingernails and toenails together, and then just body shop them a little bit, paint them, seal them with automotive, and then with Silpoxy glue them all onto either the silicone gloves, or with super glue we glued his toenails onto his latex feet.
My name is Dr. Zalk, and I specialize in candy and other sweet things. This is my tummy. This is my coat. Let me fix my hat really quick. Ah, it's so heavy.
He's so heavy.
Now, performing Dr. Zalk, this was an interesting one. He's very tricky because he is an extremely heavy puppet. The combination of the mechanical head, the silicone skin of the head, and then just the weight of the latex and foam body, plus the costume, you're basically looking at 20 pounds that you're riding on. The mechanical head is pretty much just resting on your knuckles. And then his costume is basically pulling on your wrist. With the weight and stuff, we do have to communicate with the clients that, you know, this is a puppet that you have to train and practice with.
Hey Caleb and Chris, I'm Adam, and this is Mariah, and welcome to your tutorial video on how to operate your new puppet. He is a heavy puppet. He's a very heavy puppet. So filming and performing with him should be done in small segments. You can't have him you can't have him do a half-hour monologue, right?
A lot of people just assume you can stick your hand in a puppet and make it work like a sock puppet, when actually puppeteers is a profession and it is an art form, and you do have to train and practice to really work with an inanimate object and create a personality, and also deal with things like weight or restrictions that a puppet will introduce.
I have my candy! Bring it to me, evil ones.
No, I'm for kids. I'm happy. Having a great time. Oh. Yeah. That's cool. No, I think it's fantastic, man.
this combination of the hand puppeted head, the gloved Swedish chef style hands, and just him waving around in his cloak really all complements each other well to really bring this puppet to life.
Where do I live? I live in a magical hole with all my children, my candy children.
I think this was a great addition to the puppets that we've created here at KreatureKid, and I'm so proud of this piece. And he is so much fun to watch come to life and just be a silly little possum wizard. So I hope you guys like this video. Please leave any questions and comments down below, and thank you guys for watching.
Yeah. This is my special box.
I smell like a peppermint.